So the Commission interprets the term existing in the sense of existing wireless tower or base station to mean that there must be some prior approval of either the tower or the base station before Section 6409 applies. You can't build a facility that's for the sole purpose of housing antennas without prior approval, install it, and then claim that it qualifies under 6409 for mandatory approval of the attachment of antennas. That does not work. Which, as broad as this sounds, now starts to look like it limits it. So the order states that the term existing requires that both towers and base stations be reviewed and approved under the applicable local zoning or siting process, or that the deployment of existing transmission equipment on the structure receive another form of affirmative state or local regulatory approval. There is an open question as to whether or not authorization from the PUC constitutes this prior approval. If that were the case, and you were installing a pole for the purpose of attaching antennas, then that pole would be pre-approved for 6409, and then you'd be allowed to use 6409 to attach or to require a jurisdiction to allow you to attach antennas to that pole. That's an open question. The term co-location is defined as the mounting of transmission equipment on an eligible support structure, and both towers and base stations are identified as eligible support structure. The phrase eligible facilities request is expanded to include a request to harden a facility by structural enhancement, where hardening is necessary for co-location replacement or removal of transmission equipment. In the Act itself, there's an express limitation on 6409 in that an eligible facilities request is not covered by Section 6409 if it would substantially increase the physical dimension of the tower or base station. The order rejects municipal requests to treat this substantially increase on a case-by-case basis, and it adopts what it refers to as an objective test to determine whether or not an increase is substantial. It's similar to the co-location NPA, but not the same. The order differentiates between facilities that are within public rights-of-way and facilities that are outside of public rights-of-way. The height limitations inside rights-of-way are lower than they are outside of rights-of-way, and the width modifications are greater outside of public rights-of-way than they are within public rights-of-way. And I think this is a direct response to those municipalities that showed pictures of these monstrous facilities that were inside the public rights-of-way, which were built without limitation under this idea that you could increase something as many times as you want, as long as every time you increased it, you only increased it 10% or whatever the limitation was. And the FCC has addressed the concern about what was referred to as the blooming tower or creeping tower syndrome. One thing that's important is that under Section 6409, if you're dealing with a stealth facility, this phrase, substantially increase the physical dimension, is violated if the modification would defeat the existing concealment elements of the tower or base station.